Guys, welcome to another live stream from the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we are going to look at a video from Eli in Russia. I've never seen this channel before, but I'm excited to share some thoughts that she has interviewing Russian girls about feminism, dating, and splitting bills. Let's go.
The role of women in society has changed repeatedly throughout history.
Let's take away this one there.
And different movements emerge every year in support of women's rights and equality. Russia is not an exception for that. However, feminism in Russia in some way is depicted as a negative influence from Europe, something that could ruin the family values. So let's find out whether that's true or not and what Russian girls think about feminism.
Interesting. So we're going to find out, is feminism ruining traditional families? Let's go.
В твоей жизни когда-нибудь были ситуации, когда ты чувствовала дискриминацию просто потому, что ты девушка? Папа там говорит, что типа вот мы должны там готовить, убирать, стирать. А мужики только зарабатывают деньги. Ну, я вот это не считаю правильным, потому что мужчина должен тоже помогать в семье.
Cool. Let's get into it. So her father is saying a woman should cook, clean, and wash, right? Is that what she said? Yes. And that men should be making the money. She doesn't think so. And the man should also help with household chores. So on this channel, we talk about masculinity and femininity and help to clear up the confusion that is around the world in relationships, male and female dynamics. And what we've come to find out is that women really like masculine men. Like, as masculine as possible, please. And masculinity, you can, there's many different ways that you can define it. We have a special definition called the ability to control his thoughts, emotions, and behaviors independent of circumstance. That's one of them. But another one is also having power. And power, according to Google's definition, is the ability to do. So the ability to do what exactly? The more masculine a man is, the more his woman is emotionally fulfilled. That's what we're trying to create, an emotionally fulfilled woman. It might be a grand task, but that also fulfills her kids, who are also his kids, right? Our goal is families to function. That's the ultimate goal. So I put up a post together with my wife on Instagram. It's @_3inlove. If you haven't checked that out yet, you definitely should. And we mentioned there that men absolutely do not enjoy doing household chores. Like, he literally all day long, he's supposed to at least, a man of high value would, a masculine man of high value would be out serving other people. He would be growing a business towards exponential growth so that he can provide extremely well for his family. I don't think it's sufficient to be like, oh, you should have a job and you should provide for your wife and family and then retire at 67 or 70 years old. For me, that's unacceptable. Like, I literally have a channel, Men of High Value, designed to help men to think bigger about themselves, to focus on attaining their ultimate potential, which means that they will continuously be setting new goals every single time they reach one. And one of those goals is getting 100K US dollars, for example, in net worth. What happens next? $1 million in net worth, obviously. What happens next? Well, we keep going. Why should we ever end or stop the process? You know what gets in the way of that process? A man becoming more feminine. A man being more in tune with his emotions. A man helping out with household chores gets in the way of that. But a burdened woman, especially one that has kids, will want a man to do that types of stuff. I have a friend, a great friend of mine, who has a wonderful wife, but he told me the other day that his wife gets annoyed. They do not have kids. His wife gets annoyed when he doesn't help out around the house. For me, that's just like, yes, a man, if the woman truly has a need in a monogamous marriage where she doesn't have any other assistance from anyone else, the man has to step up to the plate and assist her. But what's gonna be the ultimate sacrifice if he does that? He's not gonna become as successful as he could have been. He's not gonna be totally immersed and focused in achieving financial success. So she is going to have to sacrifice attaining all of her huge, massive, luxurious, lavish lifestyle dreams so that he can help out right now, because women are now creatures, with the household chores because it's messy, someone's coming to visit, I gotta need ready, and the kids need this and that and the other, etc., etc. It's messed up. And a lot of the things, the reason why women want men to help out with household chores mostly these days is because she's being superwoman and also has a job just like him. So both are out working, and in men's brains there's like, I don't want to do household chores, like it's not my role. And in my opinion, that's correct thinking. The more a man moves towards, fulfilling the feminine duties around the house, the more of a woman he's going to become. The more of a man the woman is going to become as a natural result, because women they're just not attracted to feminine men. And men who say that women are like, wow, he's using the mop and he's vacuuming the floor. It does not turn women on at all. Now, being unburdened might mean that she has more capacity for giving him sex, but that's just yuck. A woman should be glued to a man in terms of massive attraction. She's really excited to be with him that way. Household chores doesn't help. A massive promotion helps. Doubling his income in a month does help, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Our goal is to get men out there. Now, in monogamy, this is extremely tricky, which is why I don't recommend men to actually get married, which is a problem because then we don't really get sustainable families, right? Not so fast. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, because I'm completely against sleeping outside of lifelong commitment, please do watch the rest of this video. I'm going to explain as we go about. I don't want to explain everything right away because let's see what happens, right?
Ну, мне родители говорят, что несмотря на то, что ты должна быть хранительницей очага, ты все равно должна развиваться, потому что, и я так считаю, что если ты живешь с мужем, и он тебя полностью обеспечивает, то ты начинаешь как-то деградировать.
So her parents, yeah, you guys read, they want her to be a housewife, but they also want her to develop her talents. Of course, women should develop their talents. They should have hobbies. They should be excited about life and do different new things all the time. Except for the fact that the problem is that if the man actually is out there on his purpose, building a massive conglomerate, which she wants, by the way, because she wants him to get rich, then who is she going to do all those hobbies and talents with? It's kind of lonely, and it's extremely difficult to make friends and to go to new places by herself. As a woman, you don't want to do that because you're a social creature, and you're also afraid of ridicule from outsiders that you don't know. Women are it's very interesting when you watch women in terms of they really care about what everyone thinks the more feminine they are. So the more feminine a woman is, she's not going to want to step into a new environment all on her own without having someone there to back her up or support her. The man that's actually out there building a conglomerate doesn't have the time to support her every given minute of the day to try new things. What women need are women. But again, it's extremely difficult to develop new friends, especially when couples move around and, the globalist world that we're living in, it becomes a bit difficult. But, well, what happens? Well, if you live with your husband and he provides for you completely, you start to degrade. Well, if you don't have kids, what are you going to do? He provides for you completely? That doesn't make any sense because I could make my own money and that would help the household, right? Wrong. It doesn't help the household because it causes you to become more masculine and you're literally under the service of a different guy. That's not right. Why would you not rather be in the service of your guy who's a massive, ambitious guy who's going places and why serve another dude or the government for that matter when you can be serving your family's purpose? if that makes sense, right? You'll start to degrade if you don't do anything, but women just don't ever do that. They always do something. Like, if a woman is unburdened, she'll run towards responsibility, to new things, to hobbies and talents. But again, she has a problem because she's just by herself and she needs the man to join her. So she's kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. In monogamy, we're going to get again to the question as we continue.
Из того, что нет этого развития, и у вас становятся разные интересы, мне кажется, все равно нужно как бы чем-то заниматься, развиваться, чтобы быть на плаву.
На самом деле, мне постоянно почему-то так. Мне как-то бабушка всегда говорила, что девушка — это хранительница очага, а мужчина должен зарабатывать.
You hear these old people that they're kind of onto something. Like, the fact, I mean, some people would say that, oh, it creates inequality in the home because the man is making more money than the woman. Well, if you understand anything about polarity and anything about attraction, a woman needs the man to be higher in power than she is. Like, she needs to look up to him in order for her to be attracted nonsoever. Okay, if he's making less than her, then she's automatically looking down on him. Like, you're a man, I'm a woman, and you should be making more than me. You know what I mean? So, but in general, old people, the traditions that they've had, they work to some extent. They had some of the principles, but something was obviously off, or else we wouldn't have progressed to the society we have today, right? Like, ideas that don't work very often fade away and die out. But ideas that actually do work, we kind of hold on to them for as long as possible, maybe even forever. So we have to take what we've learned from the past and try to apply it, while at the same time move forward with new and better ideas that don't require force, right? So we never want to force women to be stay-at-home mothers, or force them to do stuff that they don't want to do, or force them to not have a job, or have regulations in place that stops that from happening. That's ridiculous. Okay, women should be free to do whatever they want at any given point in time, because they should have their freedom. And then it's men's responsibility to figure out, how can we attract women to actually do the things that will actually give them their biggest enjoyment out of life. I say sometimes on my channel, female nature is a male science. And our job as men is to actually understand you guys so well, so that we can emotionally fulfill you long term, not just right now, you know? So just put that in there.
Поэтому, как минимум в семье меня это сопровождает постоянно.
В твоей жизни когда-нибудь были ситуации, когда ты испытывала дискриминацию в какой-либо мере просто потому, что ты девушка? Так, домогательство считается? Наверное, да. Если домогательство считается, то однозначно да.
Should men ever harass women? No, never. What is this? No, like, that's low value men, and it's unacceptable.
Периодически люди вслух подвергали мои умственные способности сомнению на основании того, что ты же девушка.
Should you question women's intelligence? No, never. Okay, you have to realize that the more you tear down women, the more that they're going to try to prove you wrong. If you tell a woman that she's, her intelligence is subpar, guess what she's going to try to do? She's going to try to become the most intelligent woman in the world to prove you wrong. So was it a very good strategy for guys to actually tell women that they can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do this because you're a girl? They will use, all of their strength, might, and tears and everything to then prove that person wrong. So that was a waste, So men need to be very careful about how they speak to women. They should speak very respectfully, because women can actually do a lot of the things way better than men can if men are lazy and don't want to change and don't want to improve, okay? A disciplined man, a man of high value, will beat any woman in any sport, anytime, except for birthing kids, taking care of kids, and the stuff in the home, because women are just excellent at that. So no high value man will ever be able to beat a woman at that game, okay? And that's the most difficult game in the world. The game of being a housewife and a stay-at-home mother It is the most difficult job, and I've mentioned this before. It's more difficult than being a prime minister, more difficult than being a president of a country. It's more difficult than anything that you can fathom if you have multiple children. Okay? So men should be respectful of that fact and never, ever tear down women. Because we would suck if we actually have to take on that type of responsibility that women naturally run to. Like, it's amazing. Okay? Thank you, women.
Потому что иронично, что это зачастую происходило в тех сферах, в которых я хорошо разбираюсь, а они нет.
Дискриминации нет, наверное, я не ощущала. Но, возможно, в университете были люди, которым нравились девочки или мальчики. И в зависимости от этой гендерной предрасположенности оценки были выше, либо у мальчиков, либо у девочек.
Да, конечно. По учебе больше чувствовала дискриминацию, чем что я девушка. Ну, что это не женская специальность, что вы можете что-то не понимать, что парни более пробивные, хотя я в этом абсолютно не согласна. У девушек больше хваткости, цепкости и внимания к деталям. Именно они больше погружаются в предмет, я так считаю.
Привет, скажи, как...
Imagine if women were immersed in the subject of taking care of kids. That's the most important job and the hardest one. And that's the one that we're outsourcing to government these days. Not very good. Except for the fact that women were not designed to do it alone. This is what we're expecting. Men very often expect women to take care of the home by themselves, as one person. The women are not designed to do that. Okay? Like, there's so many laugh stories about a man coming home from work, you know, and he's tired and he sits down on the couch. The house is messy. The kids are crying. There's no food on the table. And the guy's like, what have you been doing all day? It's like the most disrespectful thing that a man could ever say, ever, because he then doesn't understand the pain that she went through the entire day, being lonely, not having capacity, not being able to wake up, not having no motivation because she's not attracted to the dude. That's a huge one. And then having to take care of kids all day, cook, clean, wash, kids are crying at the same time, back and forth, distraction. And then, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's incredible how much people expect of women these days. No, women weren't designed to do that all on their own.
Как ты думаешь, кому в России легче построить карьеру, мужчине или женщине?
Конечно, мужчине. Потому что все должности крутые занимают мужчины, для них все открыто, девушки для всех кажутся такие тупые.
Ну, сейчас больше идет все-таки к равенству, и то есть девушки тоже могут развиваться, но мне кажется, все-таки преимущество перед мужчинами есть.
Хотелось бы сказать 50 на 50, но нет, мужчине, я думаю, все-таки легче. Ну, до сих пор во многих организациях сидит старшее поколение, которое, я думаю, не так относится к женщинам, как более молодые люди.
So do I think that there should be inequality in the workforce? Obviously not. You know, whoever is more suited for the position, great. But however, if women didn't have to work, and they made a lot of money and they trusted the man who is making a lot of money, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Would they want to work? Like, why would you want to put yourself through that grueling aspect? If you actually share household duties with someone else, if you're not alone in the stay-at-home game, then you probably would enjoy that responsibility. Although it's difficult, although it's hard, it's just so much more rewarding, right? So, like, why would you spend your days, your whole life, working for people who don't really care about you and who won't give you anything else except for a check sometimes, and then they fire you if you don't take an experimental something from the government's mandates? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not a very you don't get rewarded well enough for the efforts that you put out in society, and very often women do that because they don't feel rewarded at home. But imagine if they actually felt rewarded at home. The man actually made tons of money because he wasn't required in the home. He could focus, the woman could focus with the other women that are also in the home. I guess we're kind of getting closer to it. All right, so let me just spill the beans right now so you're just not wondering what I'm talking about. The concept that we teach on this channel, the Women of High Value channel, this is the thing that will make you the most highly valuable woman if you've got the other things that a high value man would want as well. But this one is huge. If you're willing to share a high value man and actually harmoniously live under the same roof with your other women who you are sharing your high value man with, like, for a man to know that you want to share him, it's a huge turn on, obviously. Now, you can look at that just from a sexual standpoint, but just from a high value man standpoint, I was just on a call with my guys just now, and I was saying, like, the thing that fires me the most up, okay, about 3 in Love, like, literally more so than the sexual rewards, all that stuff that happens in the bedroom and stuff like that. Obviously, I'd be fired up for that too. But what fires me the most up is my ability to be able to work 80 hours a week and still have a family to come home to and actually get that exponential growth curve that I want to, in terms of fulfilling my utmost potential. Like my potential being helpful to my wife, because that's what I've chosen to do, is to support her and to help out with the kids and to help out with household chores. This is what I've chosen to do because I've burdened her. So now I'm unburdening her, but the ultimate unburdening, would be to actually have other women with her taking care of our family, taking care of her kids, their kids, our kids, and then me exponentially growing the wealth outside. Now, this is just me. This is a movement that we've got going on, the Men of High Value channel with the 3 in Love movement. And it allows women to remain in their femininity for life. For life. Like, you have the ability to stay at home, to enjoy being unburdened, to laugh, play, giggle, dance, sing, go to new activities, develop talents and hobbies that you want to develop, and never ever have to worry about financial means, knowing that you're protected by a high value man who, this is the most important part, the reason why you guys are actually harmonious in the family under the same roof, women, okay, and that you're not competitive and there's no jealousy and all that stuff, is because he takes the blame for everything that goes wrong in those relationships in that home. Everything. If anything goes ever wrong, it's the man's fault. He has extreme ownership over every single thing that goes wrong. This is what actually produces happy families. This is what allows women to enjoy their femininity. There's massive potential. Obviously, women are going to be have issues with this type of suggestion because they felt insignificant their whole life, and they believe that if they share a high value man, with other women, that they'll feel insignificant. Not so. They'll actually feel way more significant. Their self-esteem will radically increase. Why? Why would I say that? Because you're not alone. You remember what we spoke about in the beginning, how women very often don't want to go to new environments and learn new things and talents and hobbies when they're feminine, is because they don't want to go to a place where they could maybe be ousted, where they could maybe be, outcasts, where they feel kind of left out because they don't know anyone. Well, guess what? If you have 2 other women with you in your life that you spend every single day with, that according to what you guys want to spend time with, obviously, you have strength in numbers. You can go anywhere you want and know that you've got a protection. You're together. And if someone is trying to oust you, it's not a problem because you guys have strength in numbers. And not only that, but you've got capacity to take care of kids. You've got capacity to take care of the home. You've got capacity for the man when he comes home as well. You got capacity to actually make meals from scratch and not have to buy fast food stuff all the time. I know that this maybe seems kind of foreign to women who haven't had families, who haven't had kids. Single women very often don't understand what hits them once they get married and have kids. It's like life hits them. You know the time when you go to college, I hope, okay, you might be going to college, or you did in the past. Well, you went to college, and then you're kind of like procrastinating the day that you're going to start the workforce, because you really don't want to start the workforce because you got so much freedom in college. And he's like, oh my gosh, now I have to actually go to a job, get a job, go to a job, and wake up early in the morning and actually show up, and I have to perform and I have to do this, that, and the other. Oh my gosh, can I procrastinate that a little bit longer? Well, guess what? This is what happens with marriage as well. Because you're living your single life and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting less and less eggs. I'm getting less and less desirable. And I'm like, but I can't procrastinate it any longer. I can't procrastinate having a family. Guess what? It's just like when you went out to the workforce and that job hit you in the face, where you're like, okay, I'm just going to grind it out. I'm just going to, it's going to improve over time. And maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. Maybe you hate your job still. Marriage is like that. Especially once you get kids. It's like it hits you in the face, and it's the beginning of all your problems, not the end of all your problems. Because it's monogamy and you weren't designed for it. You're designed to be with one man for the rest of your life. Because if you actually are attracted to a man and you're massively obsessed with him, you want to be with that guy. And just that guy. Men are wired differently. We actually literally can love multiple women at the same time deeply. Okay? Like, it won't be shallow. We literally can love them deeply. We're wired differently than women. Why? Why is it that way? Probably for a reason. And this is why the 3-in-love system has been developed. But I think that system has always been around, that we just didn't know about it yet. So that was basically spilling the beans. I hope that you are wiser, but let's keep watching the video.
Считаю, что в России больше зарабатывают мужчины, в Москве одинаково. Потому что еще до сих пор существует дифференциация, и на работу больше принимают мужчины на такие значимые специальности.
Мне кажется, зарабатывают больше мужчины, потому что это, как по мне, сильный пол мужской. Вот. И они более умнее. И поэтому сейчас в основном, я вот только знаю, что в основном сейчас мужчины только бизнесмены, но таких вот карьеристов, женщин я не знаю.
To say that men are smarter than women, like, I don't know. Like, men are kind of slow sometimes, I gotta admit. Like, especially, like, my wife is fast, okay? Like, this is what I've noticed with women. Like, if they're emotionally into something and they're obsessed about it, then like their thinking goes real quick and they can figure out solutions to problems extremely fast. Like, I look at it as a vehicle on the road, on the highway, and their brain cells move faster or something. Like, it's almost like the car is driving faster down that highway than men's cars. That could provide a problem because that means that their emotions are more intense, and and it could create more obstacles the faster you go on that highway, right? But to say that men are smarter, I don't think so. I really don't. Like, women are amazing, and that's why the most talented people should have the most important job, which is raising the next generation, in my opinion.
Да, кажется, они одинаково зарабатывают.
Мне кажется, женщина, потому что сейчас у нас 21 век, и женщины, они больше развиваются, чем мужчины.
That is so true. Women are developing more than men. Why? Because men aren't needed anymore, right? And men have actually found out that women very often will sleep with them even though they're poor. That happens a lot. You go on Tinder, a douchebag who has a nice profile, okay? He looks kind of good, doesn't look like a criminal, although sometimes criminals are also, attractive for women sometimes. But, it's interesting that men have found out that, I don't have to do anything with my life. I can literally sleep around. And like, this is a problem. Obviously, men are the problem here because they're the ones that have caused society to move in that direction where women are okay with sleeping around because they've been taught by men that loosen up a little bit, just sleep around, sleep with me on a first date. Horrible suggestions, right? Like, that's men who do not understand female nature because it messes women up completely and makes them more manly, makes them burdened, more manly. And as a result, we get the societal problems that we get, and we get the fragmentary families that don't work out, and kids basically grow up without a father figure, very often without a mother figure. They're just orphans going to school, and then they're grown-ups and hate their parents, hate their family, and wonder why they have so much trauma. Why? Because women slept around. And why was that? Because men led them to do it. Okay, so in general, men are the ones who suck, and they need to step up, and they need to keep it in their pants until they're ready for lifelong commitment.
У них больше, так сказать, глобальные цели. Мужчины, мне кажется, сейчас наоборот как-то расслабились, даже не то, что в плане заработка, а в плане даже отношения к женщине. А женщины, они целеустремленные. Мне кажется, сейчас женщины больше.
This girl's smart. Men are relaxed now, 100%. They don't care. Do you know, I'm actually going to make a video called Men Are Lazy. Like they're naturally lazy, okay? And I'm going to dedicate a full-blown video for that to explain why. And hopefully that will, make us a bit wiser about why men do what they do. Sometimes it's difficult for women to understand that. But, maybe we should say that male nature is a female science. Oh, just kidding.
You guys probably heard many jokes on the internet about a foreigner on a date with a Russian girl when he asked to split the bill and the Russian girl is shocked because of this dreadful act of his. Well, let's ask Russian girls about leadership roles in a relationship and what they think about splitting the bill and all this stuff. By the way, let me know in the comments who usually pays the bill on a date in your country, and let's see what it's like in Russia.
Как ты думаешь, кто сейчас обычно является инициатором отношений, парни или девушки?
Я думаю, что парни. В своих отношениях чаще инициатором являюсь я.
Ну, я считаю, что когда как, так как сейчас очень современное общество, и тут уже не совсем играет роль, кто первый сделал шаг, тут скорее играет качество отношений, к чему они приводят и как они развиваются.
Думаю, что...
Usually, if it's the woman who initiates the relationship, it's not going to work out very well. Even if it works out in duration-wise, she's not going to be very attracted to him. Like, just from the very fact that she initiated it. But, I do get it. Sometimes women have to do that because men are literally not doing it these days. But at the same time, like, it's messed up. Men were designed to initiate contact and to initiate relationships. But women can't wait around these days for men to do so because then they might end up waiting a very, very long time. So, it's a tough one. And I apologize on behalf of men for you not having maybe so many options of men actually approaching you. They should. But at the same time, you also have to make yourself more qualified as time goes by, I guess. That's what we all have to move towards improving and moving towards our different polarities. Women moving towards femininity and men towards masculinity.
Сейчас примерно в равной степени. Есть, конечно, такие люди, которые считают, что только парни должны делать первые шаги во всем, но лично я знаю довольно много девушек, которые сами делали первые шаги. Мужчина. Как по мне, он должен первый писать, звонить, куда-то звать, гулять, допустим. Нет, девушка тоже может это делать, как-то проявлять заботу, поддержку, но в основном это должны делать мужчины.
А как ты относишься к тому, если парень платит за тебя?
I do agree that men should initiate. But if he never ever has, you might have to, but the problem is then you might get rejected, which is absolutely horrible, right? Women hate getting rejected because it literally goes against their nature to initiate. So for men who are watching this video, understand that women don't initiate out of security reasons. Like they don't, and they also don't want to come across as needy because they also want to, be valuable in the relationship. And if she doesn't know that he's interested, she could get turned down, and maybe she has been turned down in the past, and that's why she doesn't want to initiate. So, men, we gotta do the job of initiating. But at the same time, men of high value, I teach them not to date, because before they're get the stamp of approval that they're ready to do so, which takes a long time. So, for you can't really wait around for guys to get the stamp of approval. We just wanted to say that.
Прекрасно.
Конечно, только за, конечно.
Вообще, я думаю, что так и должно быть. Так вообще странно, если девушка сама за себя платит.
Если это будет первое свидание, я точно предложу 50/50. Вот. В принципе, нормально.
Я отношусь очень положительно. Это очень приятный и хороший жест, особенно для женщины. Но я также ничего не вижу плохого в том, что если женщина сделает такой же шаг, но спустя время.
отношусь, потому что я хочу быть слабой.
There you go. I feel good about it because I want to be weak. Isn't that interesting? Do you know that there's actually women out there who want to be vulnerable, who want to be the weaker gender? Femininity, nature, let go, right? Submit, surrender. That's literally feminine nature. Like, we need men to pay fully for dates. Like, this is my opinion. I've tried to figure this out. I did wonder for a time because, you know, sometimes as a guy, you'd want to make sure that you don't invest too much into the girl because then blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, nah, man. Like, as a guy, you gotta pay for it, man. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be rich as a guy. Like, why should he not make tons of money and be prepared for the time when he starts dating? If he got tons of money, then there's no problem to pay for a date with the girl. Like, why would he have issues with that? Why would he want her to pay anything? Like, that puts the relationship, in my opinion, at a very wrong place. And all these girls are completely okay with the man paying. Why? Because they're hardwired for a man's provision. They want a man to provide. And the more feminist they become, the more they're like, no, I'll do 50-50. But if they've lost their job and they're, you know, put in a predicament, they'll be extremely happy if he pays, right? So, yeah.
И поэтому мне нравится, когда я, может быть, чуть-чуть ниже, чем мужчина.
Мне будет дискомфортно, я не люблю чувствовать себя в чем-то обязанной, мне вообще, в принципе, некомфортно, когда парень занимает лидирующую позицию.
Generally don't like it when a guy takes the lead. Like, it's gonna be difficult for her love life. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, if she doesn't like it when a guy takes the lead, like, you can automatically see that there's massive masculinity going on there and distrust in men, right? So we want the man to have as much power as possible as long as he is trustworthy. That's like the biggest thing. He needs to be a man of integrity, a man of his word, and a man of morals, right? Who's trying to do the right things and improve himself. And if he is that type of good guy, we should give him as much power and as much leadership as possible in the relationship.
А тебе больше нравится, когда парни обращаются с тобой как с равной, или когда они такие прям мужчины, проявляют заботу, внимание?
Скорее второе. Мне нравится проявление заботы, внимания, и когда ко мне относятся как к маленькой...
I like to be treated like a little girl and to be cared for. What do you know?
Девочки, да, второй вариант, потому что, все равно, женщины, они такие, все-таки такие,
Gentle creatures.
Они девочки, нежные существа, им нужна эта вот забота, внимание, все-таки, на равных нет.
Whoa. This girl, literally in the beginning of this video, now she says they need care and attention. I think it's wrong to treat women equally. She literally said in the beginning of the video that women that men should be doing household chores. That's equality right there, right? So men should be taking the massive rejection outside the home. The woman should be, if she's unburdened, she doesn't have to do anything. There shouldn't be any expectation. But a woman, I know that if a woman cares, which she naturally does if she's unburdened, she will run towards fulfilling her responsibilities and her role in the home. So it's just interesting how, the way that she answered that question when she said that the man should participate equally in the home.
Мне нравится быть за мужчиной, который заботится, который оберегает, ухаживает. Мне не нравится с ним быть на равных правах, потому что мужчина, он, как правило, старше. В плане, личных отношений.
I don't like being on equal footing. Interesting.
Можно же рассматривать разных парней. Парень как друг и парень как парень. Если парень как друг, то нормально, что на равных. Там вместе тусите, также вместе делите что-нибудь, какие-нибудь расходы, отдыхайте. Но если парень, понятно, что он должен ухаживать и проявлять заботу.
If a guy is like a boyfriend, he has to woo, show care, love, and respect. Very important thing that I want to mention here, because she says here, if he's just a friend, then 50-50 is obvious, right? But if he is someone who's trying to woo you, what does that mean? Well, he's trying to get inside your pants. That's really what it means, right? It is crucial that women never, ever sleep with the man who they're not committed to for life. The moment you do that, you have massively decreased the probabilities of anything happening with that guy long term. Like and that if you do stay with him long term, there's going to be issues in that relationship way more so than if you guys have kept yourself until you guys have committed for life. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if the first guy that you ever slept with, you end up staying with him for life, things might actually be working out okay. Okay? But only okay. Not, oh my gosh, fantastic marriage. It'll be okay. And those are the best marriages. You know? So, can you imagine a guy who's literally willing to pay for the entire date and he doesn't want to sleep with you until he's committed to you for life and until, you know, you guys are ready for that? Wow. Like, what a gentleman. Like, it's almost too much for women. They're like, but I want to sleep with him. Yeah, but he's not going to, because he's literally going to say, you know, no. Nicely, of course, but a man of high value would never put you in that predicament of you having to do that, or even if you want to, because he knows that it will damage you if the arrangement is not properly set in stone and you guys don't know each other well enough to make that kind of commitment yet. So that's the philosophy of the men of high value. This is how we develop trust and respect and reputation, is men actually sticking to that program.
И это вообще любить, обожать.
Наравне.
А как ты думаешь, кто в России обычно обеспечивает семью, муж или жена?
Ну, скорее всего, мужчины обеспечивают. Ну, потому что мужчин больше, которые зарабатывают прям хорошие деньги. Может, они стрессоустойчивые.
No, men make more or provide mostly for their families because there are kids involved. That's the main reason. Kids. Women naturally take care of the kids in the home. Like, even after, you know, she's been to work, she usually comes home to take care of the kids, picking them up from kindergarten or school or whatever it is. The man might work a few more hours overtime as a natural result because they need more money. She needs to go home, take care of the kids. He makes more money because he works overtime. Usually that's what would happen in a family. That kind of works.
Наверное, больше муж, да. Муж. Потому что, ну, женщина, она должна все-таки заниматься воспитанием детей, а мужчина должен работать и, ну, обеспечивать семью.
Как бы ты относилась к тому, что твой муж зарабатывает меньше, чем ты?
Ну, если бы я зарабатывала 10 миллионов, а он зарабатывал 9, я бы не расстроилась, если честно. Вот.
Отрицательно.
Negative. It's not cool. And she's like, if I have 10 and he makes 9, you know, I'd be okay with it. Okay with it. You would be flipping out, fantastic, excited, you know, if he made a lot more money than you. Women aren't wired like that. You know that.
Как ты думаешь, больше ли возможностей у женщин на Западе, то есть в Европе, в Америке, или в России также?
Я думаю, что все-таки на Западе больше возможностей. Там немножко другой менталитет, другое отношение к правам девушкам.
Но скорее в западных странах, так как там сейчас является вот это западные страны и Америка — это центр того, чтобы как раз обеспечить женщину всем тем, что она хочет. Поэтому в Россию эта тенденция приходит со временем, так как сейчас подрастающее поколение все более и более осознает вот эти вот права, вот эти вот принципы новой жизни.
Are more aware of the importance of rights, the principles of modern life. Modern life probably isn't actually that successful. Like, it's not very nice. Rights, freedoms, well, in terms of rights, the government, you know, talk we can have another time. But the principles of modern life, you like modern life? Like, do you really like it? Because modern life has created the dating scenario we're in right now, where women are sexually active from quite young age, and men are getting sex pretty much for free, 50-50, right? And men aren't approaching women very often, and women have extreme high standards because in their early 20s and in their teenage years, they slept with, you know, quite nice guys, right? And they had many different guys maybe, And then they're taking the best principles and the best traits and the best characteristics from all those guys. And then they have, all those guys obviously had horrible traits too, but they pick the best parts and then they try to choose their man from that. And that's when they're like, oh my gosh, you know, there's no good men available. And that's because she slept around with so many, not her fault, remember? But you get the pain of comparison right now, where you basically don't find a man that levels up to men who left you behind. But they left you behind maybe because they had other options, which is horrible. It's horrible for a man to do that, but that's what men naturally do these days. This is modern life, people. Is this good? No, the West is dying as a natural result of this. Like, it's the male and female dynamics that is causing the deterioration of the West, of modern life, actually. So if we're ever going to fix it, this is what we need to fix. Having a harmonious male and female dynamic relationships, and women loving to be with other women for life and living harmoniously with them because the man takes the blame. In 3 in Love, right?
Жизни современной и принимает их на себя, внедряя в наше общество.
Я думаю, что человек может найти возможность реализоваться в любой стране, если он действительно этого захочет. По крайней мере, в России тоже есть такие возможности. Я не могу говорить про любую страну, но в России есть.
Throughout my life, I've heard the phrase, I believe in gender equality, but I'm not a feminist, multiple times from my girl friends and acquaintances. If you believe in gender equality, technically you are a feminist, but lately, feminism and man-hating became interchangeable concepts. That's why many girls are reluctant to recognize themselves as feminists. And Russian women don't like to talk about feminism. But I'm gonna ask this question anyways.
Ты бы себя назвала феминисткой?
Ну, на самом деле, наверное, да, потому что я считаю, что феминизм — это борьба за равные права. Но сейчас есть такое явление, как какой-то агрессивный феминизм, когда девушки участвуют на каких-то митингах или проявляют какую-то агрессию к мужчинам. И мне кажется, это уже выходит за рамки.
Да не, ну я не отношусь ни к чему такому. Я не до конца понимаю, что такое феминизм.
Я бы себя не назвала феминисткой. Я бы не хотела абсолютно равноправия между женщинами и мужчинами, но взаимное уважение должно существовать.
Да.
Mutual respect, absolutely. Yes. It's very interesting, their responses after we've heard what they've said earlier.
Но есть разные феминистки. Я не хотела бы себя относить к тем феминисткам, которые слишком уж перешли черту, уже не за равные права, уже пошли против мужчин. Вот это мне уже не нравится.
Нет, потому что я считаю, что мужчины все равно это наше сильное плечо, и всегда какие-то проблемы, все равно мужчины их решают.
Нет, я бы
Men who are problem solvers. Interesting.
не назвала. Потому что мы сейчас живем в таком мире. Все так привыкли.
Да, я бы себя назвала таковой, потому что у меня много планов на эту жизнь, и я считаю, что все на равных.
Да, конечно. Ну, для меня странно, когда, наверное, женщина говорит, что она не феминистка. Ну, типа, если знать, в принципе, понятие этого слова, то странно себя не считать феминисткой.
Ну, я, может быть, скорее всего, назвала бы себя феминисткой, но сейчас в современном обществе это понятие немножко перешло грани того, что многие воспринимают феминизм как унижение прав мужчин, но это не так. Это наоборот, когда женщина поднимается до планки мужчины, и они оба строят какие-то партнерские отношения и вносят какой-то вклад в наше современное общество.
Да, я однозначно феминистка, потому что именно феминизм позволяет женщине сейчас реализовывать себя и профессионально, и индивидуально, и творчески. Девочки могут получать то образование, которое хотят, работать на тех работах, которые хотят. И как бы люди сейчас не понимают, что это все не упало с неба, за это боролись.
Конечно, я бы назвала себя феминисткой, потому что я считаю, что женщины и мужчины имеют равные права. Они разные, но тем не менее равные.
Equal worth, but unequal in a relationship. Okay, like this is very important to understand. However, I have to tell you, feminism was a good thing. Okay, it sounds weird from a guy who understands the entire picture, in my opinion. I'm biased, but feminism was a good thing because it, like she said earlier, it was fought for. There was a reason why it was there. There was a problem that needed to be solved that men did not solve. So, what happens when men don't solve a problem? Well, women take it into their own hands to solve the problem. The problem was that women didn't feel like they were heard or understood, and so they wanted to have a vote on what principles and what kind of society we would build together, etc., etc. And I think it's wonderful that women got the vote, but it is also a problem because women do want free stuff because they're designed in such a way to receive free stuff from someone who provides for them. So when men suck, then women are going to begin to vote for things that give them free stuff. But there is no such thing as free stuff. There's always someone who is slaving away to pay for the free stuff that you receive. So it's basically theft, right? But in general, feminism was a good thing because it's led us to this point where we can truly understand female nature. We can hear, like, in the past, women weren't able to speak. Literally, they weren't allowed to speak up about injustices or problems or issues in their own lives and in society in general at all either. That's a problem. Like, women should be free to express themselves because then we can find out problems and find solutions to those problems. So without feminism, I wouldn't know today what I know. Without feminism, we wouldn't live in this type of society that we live in today. However, I do understand the aspect, and yes, of course, feminism now has gone to the extreme, and we're living in an age now where sexual promiscuity has caused so much problems, but this is a natural result, again, of men not fulfilling their responsibilities. If men had naturally fulfilled their responsibilities, treated women with equality, okay, equal worth, and treated women with respect and care and actually fulfilled their responsibility of providing and protecting, women wouldn't be rebelling. They would be enjoying it. They would be like, I enjoy my life. Like, why should I be out fighting in the street to get more stuff when my man has fulfilled my emotional needs? Like, it wouldn't make any sense, right? So feminism came as a result of a problem that men created, and now men are taking feminism and causing the dating era, because now religion is kind of taken out of the equation a lot of the times. And as a natural result, men are becoming more and more girly because men are stepping up to the plate, becoming more and more manly. Then men are lazy by nature, so they choose not to work as hard because why should you? And, and there's no reason to excel and be ambitious because that's hard work, right? So men eventually then choose to not do much. So women do everything, but now women do everything and they have to take care of the kids and they have to do everything else. And there's just very few guys that actually step up to the plate the way that women want men to step up to the plate. So men created the problem. Men are exacerbating the problem, and they can solve it if they want to, but they have to step up. They have to get better. They've got to improve, and women will naturally follow as a result. I know you guys will, because you're now creatures and you love it when things actually work. So you'll naturally follow if they treat you right and are working towards fulfilling all your emotional needs.
Нет, я не феминистка. Мне нравится, когда за меня платят мужчины.
Russia is still on its way to women's rights such as economic independence, elimination of domestic violence, or participation in political life. However, it's important to remember that men and women are equal, but they cannot be identical in all the aspects of life. So share your thoughts about feminism in the comments as well. Guys, you can support this video by liking it if you would like.
Thank you so much. She did a great job in this video explaining, but also being, somewhat neutral, I guess. And I hope that you also felt the same thing from me, because this movement is all about connecting the whole, all of the dots together and bringing men, women, and children together to create absolutely amazing families. And it works according to both genders' emotional needs and from the way that we're wired, like according to nature. So this is the way forward, in my opinion. 3-in-love families that raise emotionally fulfilled children who emotionally fulfill others when they're grown up. And I'm not going to give up until we've achieved that goal. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.